Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm joined today by my good friend and anti-fraud warrior, CMS Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Healthcare fraud and corruption affect millions of Americans, and maybe even you. The Obamacare marketplace is plagued by fraud, in large part because the Biden administration dismantled basic program integrity guardrails, while partisan lawfare blocked common-sense efforts to protect taxpayers. Today, Dr. Oz and I are exposing one of the latest examples of fraud that we've uncovered. More than 1 million people enrolled in Obamacare without Social Security numbers on file. That is a glaring warning sign of fraud. If even a single person was on Obamacare with no Social Security number, we should have found out. Why are we paying people who we don't know if they actually exist?
Shady insurance agents and other bad actors have been getting paid to enroll unsuspecting Americans in health plans they never signed up for.
All right, so the numbers there alone are just 1 million people who they don't know if they're even people. 1 million people have been getting Obamacare subsidies and payments. Now, understand, those payments are monthly. And maybe those payments were $50, maybe those payments were $100 each. Multiply that times 1 million. And then multiply that times 12 for a whole year. So if you had 100 people, 1 million people getting $100 a month, that's $100 million per month. $100 times 1 million, that's $100 million of complete out-the-door fraud. These aren't even dead people. These are people who don't exist. It's insane how much we've been stolen from.
These rogue agents have been flooding into healthcare.gov. That's the Obamacare marketplace. They submit applications for fake people, enroll stolen identities, all to collect millions of dollars in improper fees from insurance companies for selling plans they never legitimately sold. Some of these agents refuse to follow basic rules, like providing their client's Social Security number. That, my friends, is a huge red flag.
These fraudsters deliberately pick plans with no premiums. No premiums means no bill. No bill means most people never know that they've been enrolled in a plan that you and I are paying for with our taxpayer dollars. The only people who benefit are the fraudsters.
The Trump administration has zero tolerance for that. So here's what we're doing about it.
Okay, so slow down, because these numbers are breathtaking. And the methodology behind the scam is somewhat breathtaking. So you're telling me there was no way to track, or nobody was ever getting these things. It was all an inside job. And who knows how long it's been going on. They set it up this way. There's no doubt in my mind that this wasn't a feature. It was a benefit, and they knew setting it up that they controlled the disbursements all the way back from Wally Nigerian, and we have no idea how much of this money has been taken.
We took swift action to block this fraudulent behavior directly on healthcare.gov and through our marketplace call center. If an agent wants to be paid, they must follow the rules. No ifs, ands, or buts. They are going to have to provide government-verified information for their clients to be enrolled.
Thanks to this aggressive enforcement strategy, we've already eliminated thousands of fraudulent policies, and we're just getting started. We're also working with insurers to cancel every policy that should never have been issued and recover every taxpayer dollar that was fraudulently paid out.
We're also scaling up our enforcement efforts to prevent these bad actors from finding new ways to manipulate the system ahead of the open enrollment system this fall. Because we know the bad actors don't simply stop when you cut off one vulnerable area. The Biden administration let healthcare fraudsters run wild. Thanks to President Trump, those days are over.
To every unscrupulous insurance agent and fraudster exploiting the American people, here's our message. If you steal from the American taxpayer, or if you defraud American families, HHS will find you and we will hold you accountable.
If you're a fraudster, here's our advice to you. Do not walk away from us, run, because we are going to find you.
We're just getting started. This is the American people's health. This is the American people's money. And the Trump administration is committed to protecting both. Thank you.
What's very interesting is that the Democrats don't even talk about this. They don't even want people focused on it. You would think if you're an elected official in the United States that this would be a big deal to you. Hundreds and billions and all have been stolen from us just as we're now finding out. And you don't want anybody to even look at this. It's absolutely crazy. And it comes out so often. This was by Kash Patel today. It says, Bidurkam Adley is the alleged ringleader of one of the largest fraud scandals in the history of the country, orchestrating a massive $250 million scheme to steal critical food resources from vulnerable Americans who needed it and spent the money on luxury cars and mansions, as shameless as it gets. Somebody needs to tell me, write a book, do a movie, do something. Tell me how Abedikaram Idle was able to pull this off. See, that's the other shoe we haven't seen drop yet. We've been hearing the Somali here. We've been hearing this guy took $1 billion and that, but nobody has said yet, how did they do it? There's no way these people just learned how to steal $250 million. Never mind the fact that they didn't get caught. Nobody sniffed that 250 million was gone. So Kash is saying it, but thanks to brilliant op from this FBI and our great partners, we got him in Somalia. Oh, there's a coincidence. And he will now face justice. To date, the FBI has systematically dismantled the Feeding Our Future web of corruption and arrested over 70 members in the case. We will continue working every single day to wipe out fraud across the country. And there it is, Minnesota man. Minnesota, huh? Minnesota man captured in Somalia, huh? Okay. After allegedly helping orchestrate $250 million child nutrition fraud scheme. So I'm going to ask each one of you, Nick Shirley goes, this is epic. What Lear is next, Tim or Omar maybe? I'm sure Tim Walsh will thank the FBI for catching a fraudster who stole from all the hardworking taxpayers of his state. So all these people who are getting arrested, and they're plucking these people from other countries that ran back to Somalia, who stole all this money. You don't think these people are chirping up big time? I just wonder how many indictments are waiting for people like Tim Waltz and others. Because there's no way, I can't. I gotta believe there's no way in God's green earth that these dirt farmers from Somalia were able to steal $250 million without a great deal of facilitation. Because it just doesn't make any sense. What forms? Setting up bank accounts. You got ID for the bank account? You're telling me you ran $250 million through a bank and nobody picked up a phone and said, hey, Adabakar is running a lot of money through here. Shh, it's okay. No, somebody knows. And I don't think this dude wants to spend the rest of his life in jail. I'm sure he's got to be cutting a deal. You just saw the deal John Bolton cut. Oh, he's talking. He's talking big time. So I gotta believe at this point we're about to see a whole slew of indictments that are just being held by the grand jury right now. First and foremost, how'd they catch this dude? Remember the woman, the white woman who was part of the Feeding Our Future? She went to jail. I'm sure she dropped dime on out of Berkeley, whatever his name is. And then Somalia, it ain't like the easiest. Can you imagine falling into Somalia and saying, okay, I'm looking for, what's his name here? Out of Bidurkam Adley. And it's like, here's your picture of him. And he probably looks like everybody's brother. How the hell did they find him? Somebody dropped dime. Somebody said, here's where he hangs out. Here's where he lives. Here's his girlfriend. Here's where everything is. That's all the way to hell across the world. People are talking.
When you see a doctor, nurse, or any medical professional, you expect they'll do what's right and only bill you for necessary care. But sometimes those trusted providers take advantage of patients, leading to fraudulent billing, bad medical advice, and even death. Federal agencies and law enforcement have a message to accused fraudsters. Enough is enough.
This is just the beginning.
The beginning of what the feds promise will be an ongoing crackdown on fraud, costing taxpayers billions and rampant in our healthcare system.
Fraud does not recognize party lines, and neither does accountability.
And the problem hits home. We discovered several Nevadans facing charges, including Marizel Yuki, a 49-year-old nurse practitioner who court records say ran mobile wound clinics in 4 states. The indictment details illegal bribes, kickbacks, and the targeting of elderly patients in a $906 million scam, defrauding Medicare and the military's TRICARE with medically unnecessary skin grafts.
Okay, this skin graft lady I talked to about last week, but the largesse of the number, 906 million, basically $1 billion. At this point, it's impossible to keep up with the numbers. It should piss you off to no end that you've been going to work for years, paying your taxes, struggling, and these people are stealing literally billions of dollars. And this woman was doing fake skin grafts and ripping off, making skin suits.
She was performing these skin substitute procedures on vulnerable elderly Americans in hospices and in nursing homes, and then submitting those claims. She was using human beings, American citizens, as living piggy banks, and that she took the money she got from those living piggy banks and she bought $865,000 necklaces that the department seized. She bought a almost $500,000 Ferrari that the department also seized.
Did he say $800,000 necklace? That's just that you're just out there flaunting it at that point. You're just telling us I don't care. I got a $500,000 Ferrari. I got an $800,000 necklace. I'm stealing and I'm living my best life. And I don't care. I'm never gonna get caught. The Democrats love me. What do you mean Trump won? Oh God.
Investigators say Yuki also used illegal profits to buy $1 million home in Hawaii and build a $4.5 million beach resort in the Philippines. Prosecutors claim she falsified patient files to make those procedures appear necessary under Medicare rules. In another skin graft case, Las Vegas salesman Brian Rowan, vice president of sales for a wound care company, is accused of orchestrating a $1.2 billion scheme.
I'm looking at some of the chats and people are like, I'm pissed. I'm beyond pissed off right now. Now, I gotta believe RFK Jr., Dr. Oz, President Trump, they know you're pissed. And they're just pushing all this stuff out there, telling everybody, look what they've been doing. Look at what these people have been doing, which is why the Democrats are freaking out and why they won't talk about it, because they don't want eyeballs on this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that people should go to jail for a long time.
Federal investigators say Rowan and others paid hundreds of millions in bribes and kickbacks to doctors and sales reps, hiding them with fake invoices and shell companies. They say elderly and terminally ill patients were subjected to medically unnecessary treatments, inflating taxpayer-funded bills. From 2021 to 24, government programs and private insurers paid out more than $600 million in false claims.
I don't expect you to remember these numbers because it's impossible. But the only thing we can remember as a group is we've been paying our taxes and they've been stealing it. And then you got the Democrats going, well, we need more. You need to pay more of your fair share. Well, how about you just collect on the crap that's going out the back door? We don't even know what the numbers needed anymore. Budget, we don't even need to look at a budget. How can they literally stand in front of you and say, you need to pay your fair share, and we need to have a billionaire's tax, and we need to have this tax? I'm like, what about all the money you let out the back door? How can you sell that to Americans? How can you, that's why you don't want Americans to know this. And that's probably why it's also getting tighter for the Democrats, because the more President Trump turns this stuff off, the only way they can fix it is to take more taxes. But I don't see that getting passed.
Rowan allegedly pocketed $24 million and used it to buy luxury homes, cars, and watches.
Here's the harsh reality. As the federal government shutdown enters day 26, 42 million Americans, including 3 million here in Florida, brace for the possibility their SNAP benefits will not arrive in November. A new survey from Propel, a group that helps SNAP recipients manage their benefits, say that they will face significant hardship. 60% said that they would turn to food banks for help. 44% said they would skip meals. 33%, one-third, said they would delay paying other bills to put food on the table.
So we were just talking about the medical fraud, and now here comes the other train, the other bus pulling into the slot here, which is SNAP fraud. Because now what we're seeing is so many different agencies, so many different places that have money in the federal budget, they're all stealing. They all have their own grift and scam going on.
Is stressing them out. Joining me on the morning show, Gina Plato-Nino, Interim Director for SNAP at the Food Research and Action Center. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So, Gina, concerned this will be a life-changing event for people and the impact will be immediate?
Yes and no. So life-changing event because not everyone will lose their SNAP benefits right away. The benefits will be delayed because people receive their benefits scattered throughout the month all the way to the mid of the month. So you're going to see people coming on the first not getting their benefits all the way. But it's not just individuals, as you're showing in your screen. It's also retailers who can plan for perishable items, who also have to figure out how they're going to make sure that once benefits are put in place, they have enough resources so that people can purchase the food.
So all that said, are there things that people can do now to help prepare and soften the blow?
Not really. The people who are on SNAP are incredibly vulnerable. They're making less than $1,000 a month. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They have to figure out whether they're going to be able to pay rent, whether they're going to be able to pay mortgage, their car insurance.
I'm sorry. Did she say mortgage? So you're telling me, well, yeah, I don't even have to say it. You got all these other things. We have to figure out we're going to pay this or pay that. Well, you're not paying anything. We are. Now, what's interesting, I'm going to show you, this woman who's advocating for the SNAP benefits, she got her ass hauled into Congress.
The card payment, they're on SNAP because they have lost their wages, because their wages have been reduced, and they're in an incredibly vulnerable situation where this is really going to set them up, set them back.
Yeah, there is a contingency fund and money that could be used to fund SNAP while the government shut down. But I understand that politics is getting in the way of that money being used.
Unfortunately, the longest shutdown we had under the first Trump administration the Secretary of Agriculture then was able to issue benefits ahead of time so that we wouldn't be in this situation, right? So that we don't have to be between the politics of it. And regardless of what's going on in Congress, the Secretary has the authority. Congress has given her the authority to be able to issue these contingency funds and utilize other reserves like they did with WIC.
So the administration could have done something, is what I'm hearing, as well, but didn't act in time. Sharon Parrott, the head of the Center for Budget and Priorities, said it could have and should have taken steps weeks ago to be ready to use these funds. Instead, it may choose not to use them in an effort to gain political advantage. She's talking.
I don't think it's political advantage. We don't know why these people were getting so many SNAP benefits. We don't understand, as people who have worked and people who have had to live under budgets, why these people have car payments, mortgage payments, all this stuff, and they're supposed to be making, what did she say, under $1,000 a month. So you have a mortgage payment and you make less than $1,000 a month. How the hell does that even happen? Now, I understand there are some people who are falling on hard times who may have been working well, and then all of a sudden they lost their job and they need a hand for a little while. But that's not who we're seeing here. You've been in the store. You've seen the Shaniquas show up. You know who's actually using these benefits. It's not the person who lost their job last week and needs a couple weeks to, hold this over. And yeah, they're the one with the mortgage payment. They're the one with the car payment, but they're trying to get back on their feet. That's not who we're talking about here. Not at all. And that's going to come out here in a little bit.
About the administration. Why not have been proactive when it could have softened the impact? Because there's precedent here, and they've created a buffer before. What was it, 2018, 2019?
2018, 2019, and SNAP benefits have never been delayed, right? Like, people expect to have these benefits on time, right? That's what happened in the other shutdown under the Trump.
She just said 2018, 2019. It's 2026. This segment was filmed in 2025. I'm pretty sure nobody expected people from 2018 and 2019 to still be on SNAP benefits in 2025 and 2026. That is the problem. That right there, what he said to her, and they're not realizing what you just said. Oh, there was a problem in 2018 where people with brains like, well, why the hell are they still getting SNAP benefits? Something isn't right if you've been getting free food for 6 years.
Administration. And again, the administration and the Secretary of Agriculture, that's why she was giving this contingency so that if there's an emergency, she can go ahead and utilize these funds, right? And we've seen it when, farmers are in a disaster, various other types of funds are utilized from USDA. There are certain offices that USDA is going to reopen during the shutdown. So it really is a matter of choice. It's a matter of priorities, whether or not she wants to ensure that people get their benefits on time this month.
It's also been pointed out that Trump officials have located stopgap funding to fill other shortfalls amid the budget impasse. That includes money to prop up another nutrition program benefiting women and children, WIC. But they seem intent on leaving this one in the hands of Congress and at the expense of families who may not be able to put food on the table. Why?
That is a very good question, but it's not surprising. On July 4th, the president signed one of the biggest cuts to the SNAP program in history, $186 billion, who will permanently cut off millions of people from SNAP beginning next year. So they're setting up an agenda where they are not prioritizing individuals who are working hard. They're just falling on a hard time. And
Did you see what was in the cart? Donuts, hot chocolate donuts. And as they're scanning right there, they're getting all those sugary cereals. And that's what they're trying to stop. You're not being nutritious in your decisions.
Particularly with an administration that has caused higher unemployment and higher cost of food, which is making it really difficult for people to be able to live day to day.
Yeah, then exacerbating the situation are complicated changes at SNAP, new work requirements, other limits on eligibility. Are SNAP recipients being held at bay and used as leverage in this government shutdown right now?
People are not chess pieces. These are human beings. These are hardworking Americans. These are veterans, right? These are individuals who, this is an entitlement program. It is by law supposed to be there for individuals. Like I said, majority of people who are on SNAP is because they have lost their jobs. And when the economy is doing well, people are not on SNAP.
So if they lost their jobs 6 years ago, is there no way to get people off of SNAP? Once you're on, it's like a conveyor belt. You just never get off. Nobody asked. Well, we're going to see people ask her these questions because that's what the problem is. I don't think anybody is heartless in terms of people needing help and assistance in the interim. The idea interim, between, a bridge, not a lifestyle. Not that this has become something where you just count on it forever.
It's incredibly unfortunate that the administration has chosen to play politics with people's lives. And this is kids, right? It's kids. The majority of people who utilize SNAP are children. And while they may be getting breakfast and lunch at school, when they get home, they're going to see why mommy or daddy are skipping meals or why they don't have enough food. And
that's the problem. That's a problem to me. So these kids are being taught from a young age that everything is free. We're going to get breakfast at school. We're going to get lunch at school. And then when we come home, we got a full pantry of food that's free. So imagine how that perpetuates when people know somebody else is paying for Johnny's breakfast, somebody else is paying for Johnny's lunch, and somebody else is paying for Johnny's dinner. And there's no shame to this whatsoever, and the Democrats want it perpetuated.
Thanksgiving, why there may not be a Thanksgiving dinner.
Have you ever been hungry? I mean, seriously. If you've ever been hungry, my last period of hunger was in college, when I'm like, I don't get paid for my bouncing work until like next Thursday. I don't have any money left. I'm gonna have to go into the cabinet and see what I can mix up some macaroni and cheese or some ramen. If I have enough gas to get home for Thanksgiving. How do I say this? Thanksgiving isn't a right. If you can't afford a turkey, you don't have Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving isn't about the turkey. It's about giving thanks to the fact that you got a SNAP benefit, and that somebody gives your kid a free breakfast, and somebody gives your kid a free lunch, and you get free Medicaid, and you get a bus pass. It's not about you not being able to have a turkey on Thanksgiving.
Complicated situation and a lot of people on the short end of the stick.
All right, so that was that lady. I don't know how she survived and stayed in the Trump administration, but now she gets hauled down to Congress. And it's a completely different thing than talking to a liberal station up in, I think, Orlando. Now you got Brandon Gill, who's just going to slice and dice her.
Organization funded by organizations that make money from food stamps.
There was no glitch there. That was actually her just, yeah, that was her self-destructing as Brandon Gill asked her a question. I'm sorry. Are you really asking me that? First time I saw this, Ashley sent it to me. She goes, you got to see this questioning, because it's pretty crazy. So I'm just going to rewind it. So wanted to let you know that the tape didn't freeze. That was her.
Is your organization funded by organizations that make money from food stamps? Do organizations who profit off of food stamps fund your organization or businesses?
I mean, I can't comment.
Oh, if the first question he asks has got you tied up, leave now, because everybody just realized you're a complete dunce. Who's pulling your strings? She's blinking.
Into that, happy to talk about the research that needed.
Does General Mills fund your organization?
I don't have access to that information.
I do. It's right here.
All right, let me just tell you guys, public service announcement. You're going to go to a hearing, you talk to a lawyer, and he asks you a question. Understand they already have the answers before they ask you the question. Any good attorney will tell you they know the answer while they're asking you. So they're going to embarrass you or catch you lying, one of the two. And right there, it's like, oh, I got it right here.
You fund your organization. Do they profit off of food stamps?
Retailers are the major beneficiaries.
Do you think that that's a conflict of interest?
That's where EBT dollars are utilized.
Yes, and they're profiting off of your advocacy. Do you think that that's a conflict of interest?
Leave. You are the epitome of the Southwest commercial. You want to get away? So let me just explain to you what he just did. They are being funded by the very companies that they push these people to buy their food. So General Mills, as you know, big company, makes Cheerios and some things. We're going to give you money to help with the EBT stuff, because we know these people are going to buy all this sugary shit. So, of course, it benefits us. It benefits us greatly to have you some money so you can push these people to buy our stuff. It's like the drug dealer telling the doctor, I don't even need the analogy. You understand at this point. And she understands because she's stuck.
I think most people think that's a conflict of interest. I know you don't want to answer. Should SNAP dollars be spent on sodas?
The purpose of the SNAPs program is to provide families to have food and beverages.
Should it be spent on sugary sodas?
I am happy to talk about hunger and nutrition, but not dictate what Americans should or should not eat or may have access to.
I'm asking if tax dollars should be used to pay for sodas.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, that's how it went. This is pretty much how it went, where they sent the wrong woman out here. She never expected she was going to have to answer these questions, and they're the easiest questions. You think that SNAP dollars should be going to soda, or should it be going to milk, bottled water? I don't know, stuff like that. Why are we giving these people sodas? You do not have a right to soda. You can get some water. You can get some milk, you get some apple juice. Why are we giving you soda and paying for it? And then let you go to Medicaid to pay for what happens after you drink soda for 50 years.
Money should be utilized to ensure that individuals have access to the food that they need to survive or may be accessible to them.
Do they?
I agree with you. Yes, they should have access to the food they need to survive. So I'm going to go back to my question. Do they need to buy sodas? Because you just answered, I don't know anybody that needs soda to survive. I don't know anybody that needs chocolate-covered donuts to survive. We have been getting ripped off for decades.
They need sugary sodas to survive?
Some of them do, who do have low blood issues, who may
Is that right?
Somebody who's got low blood issues. You mean blood sugar or just got low blood? They don't have enough blood. So we're going to give them some sugary soda. That's why he had to laugh at her. And she actually said that. These people have low blood. Oh, they hanging around vampires?
Do you think they need Coca-Cola to survive? Do you think that's the most appropriate use of our tax dollars?
I am not a physician, but medical records and expertise.
You were just citing the health needs, apparently, of the American people. So do the American people need Coca-Cola to survive?
I did not say that. I said that.
I'm asking you. I'm giving you the opportunity to say yes or no.
I will not answer for individuals and their choices.
This is where we are. This is what has been allowed to happen for decades. It's unbelievable. And they obviously don't expect it. They don't think they're going to get destroyed by simple questions. And now they're exposed. Everybody saw it.
Secretary Rawlings directed all SNAP state agencies to share their participant eligibility data with USDA's Food and Nutrition Association. Were you aware of that she directed them to do that, the states?
I'm aware that the labor market has been very weakened for blue-collar workers. And
that's not what I asked you. What I asked about, Secretary Rawlings directed the state SNAP agencies to share their participant eligibility data. Were you aware that she asked them that? The states?
Are you talking about the data request?
Let's try it again. Secretary Rawlings asked the states, the 50 states in D.C., to share their participant eligibility data with the USDA. Were you aware of it or not? If you weren't, we can talk about it and I can tell you what happened.
If it's a data request, yes.
Okay, yeah. And did you know that 22 states did not share that data?
Yes.
Do you know what they all have in common?
That they don't care about protecting Americans' privacy?
Oh my God, lady, you're embarrassing yourself on national television in the halls of Congress. And I doubt she even cares.
Single one of them has a Democratic governor, all of them. And so it's Arizona all the way through Washington, state and D.C. I find it ironic when I was doing a little research for this, that when you take the states that are run by Democrats and you take the states that are run by Republicans, particularly the larger ones, you have about you're 30% more likely to be on SNAP if you live in a blue state. You think it's just because they're just terribly mismanaged, or maybe they're abusing the system? It's my time. This isn't a classroom.
They are ensuring that individuals who need access to benefits to be able to make and meet their basic needs have those resources.
Well, let's hopefully we can get in a perfect world and SNAP benefits go away completely. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Yikes. So we're getting stolen from in so many different directions by so many different agencies, but so many of these social programs, these free programs. The safety net was supposed to be just that, a safety net, and it has turned out to be a safety hotel. They just check in, they never check out, and they just keep getting free stuff for the rest of their lives. It was funny, somebody in the chat said, I love my Mountain Dew, I gotta have my Mountain Dew, but the thing is, you're paying for it. If you want to go drink Mountain Dew, go for it, it's on you. But you're not asking other people in the chat to, hey, send me some Mountain Dew. Or maybe you are. But in any event, you're not doing it for years. This is what these people, they coexist on your backs. And then tell you we need even more of your money.
This morning, a judge ruled the federal government cannot block SNAP benefits from being used to buy candy, soda, or other sugary drinks. The ruling impacts new restrictions that have already started in at least 10 states and are planned in several others. Connecticut is not one of those. The judge ruled the government did not have the authority to approve waivers restricting how SNAP benefits are used. No word on whether the Trump administration plans to appeal.
As of right now, this ruling has not been formally challenged, so it does affect 5 states. So let me go ahead and give you these states. Colorado, Iowa, Nebraska, Tennessee, and West Virginia can now use EBT to buy candy, soda, and sugary drinks. It only affects those states though. So these states right here, these still have that ban for sugary drinks and candy restrictions for EBT. Take a look here. We'll go through the list. Alabama, Arkansas. So you can kind of read through these at your own pace, but just know that every one of these states still has the ban. All right. Now, if you want to know who actually did this, it was a Barack Obama appointed judge. Shocker.
Recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The American people expect their tax dollars to be spent wisely. They expect us to be wise stewards of the money that they work so hard to put food on the table and then send some to this government. And for us to be wasteful with those dollars is not acceptable. But unfortunately, for many in the federal government, your hard-earned dollars are an afterthought. That's part of the reason why we see billions of dollars lost to waste, fraud, and abuse, and why we have a $39 trillion debt. It's clear that many programs are not working as intended, and the American people deserve better. Over the past year, the Trump administration has taken meaningful steps, and this body has taken meaningful steps to make sure that those dollars are going to be put in the hands of the people that truly need them. And so my first question is to you, Ms. Plata-Nino. In your testimony, you emphasized the importance of distinguishing between fraud and administrative errors. But the USD Inspector General and multiple audits have documented that organized fraud rings are stealing hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of dollars. Do you believe those reports?
I believe he was talking about skimming, where there is no way to measure that, especially after the government stopped doing reimbursement and instead stopped taking claims.
So you don't believe the information is accurate?
Not fully.
What do you do with these people? What do we do with these people who will not believe the numbers, which is, probably why the Democrats just put their head in the sand and say it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as fraud. There's no boogeyman stealing all of this. They just deny it. And as soon as it gets turned off, then you get some liberal judge who says, yes, they should be able to buy candy and everything. Just think about that for a second. What kind of person you must be to be allowing, or rather forcing states to let people buy stuff that they can't afford, that's not good for them, instead of at least trying to make some of these people healthier. Just give it an effort. It's not going to hurt them if they can't get soda. It's not going to hurt them if they don't get candy. It's not going to hurt them if they don't get donuts. But no, they just want to keep these people in that situation. It's evil when you think about it. You have an opportunity to help people, really truly help them by having them change their behavior. Obviously, these people don't have good upbringing or somebody looking over them. I can't tell you how many times Robin put that down. Nope, can't have that. I want a cookie. No, can't eat it. Hey, and you know when you're not doing the right thing. You know if you're not supposed to eat something. I was so happy for Father's Day. Ashley sent me a big giant box of blueberry muffins. And I was worried. I walked around the house. She's like, why aren't you eating them? I don't know. She didn't know. She goes, yes, she did. They're sugar-free. I was like, utopia. Oh my gosh, they're sugar-free blueberry muffins. Let me kiss you. People look out for you. They know you're on a diet. You're trying to live your life a certain way. And you got judges going, nope, let them have whatever they want.
Really? So we have three panelists here that are all experts that have studied this. You're saying that they don't know what they're talking about?
There is underreported data in terms of how many millions of dollars, if not billions, have been stolen from vulnerable Americans in terms of skimming, but there's no data to really ascertain the full amount.
Okay, I think we could kind of put blinders on. All of us could put blinders on and continue to mount up $39 trillion in debt, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on, let me ask you this question. Only 29 states have provided their data. Should all of the states at least provide data back to Congress about how that money is being spent?
The SNAP program does have a high quality control program, and states have been historically providing the data in order to ascertain high quality control measures. The data that is being asked is in violation of the Privacy Act and the Paper Reduction Act. The data is incredibly sensitive and it's not necessarily...
Apparently most of the states are fine. Most of the states are being responsible. They're responding because they see the problem. Ms. Platanino, let me ask you this question. Is $39 trillion debt, is that acceptable to you?
It is unacceptable that we still have over 40.
So do you know how much that is per taxpayer? Do you have any idea how much each taxpayer in America, if they had to pay right now, what that would be? I'll tell you.
Next round is insecurity.
$356,000. If you care about the national debt, if you care about the money that's coming out of this building, you should care about the fact that every hardworking American who is trying to put food on the table at the end of the day has to somehow pay $356,000 for all of the misuse of funds that this Congress and previous Congresses have made. I
have a question for you. Knowing what you probably know about Elon Musk and what you probably know of Doge, how many of you think they already have the data? I do. I think that what happened with Doge wasn't it being disbanded. I believe that they put in algorithms and programs and AI, and they got all the data they could possibly need. We don't have to sit here for 6 months and pretend. We've already gone through. We sent spiders in. We have every bit of data. As President Trump has said many times, we have it all. I truly believe him. I believe a guy who can park a rocket and have it come from outer space and have it sit here doesn't need to sit at a desk with 10 or 12 people constantly going through SNAP benefits. I got to believe once they got in there, they were able to ascertain all the information they need. When will we see it? I think we're seeing it right now. I think that's why we're seeing so many of these fraud investigations. It had to start from somewhere. And there's no way, even in the time he's been in office, that Pam Bondi or Cash or Todd Blanche could be going through all of this stuff one by one by one. So I think they already had the data, and I think they've been using the data, and they're following up on it. And now with this stuff here is, we need to find out who knew what was going on. This woman, she looks stupid. I mean, she doesn't look like she's acting. She looks stupid. She's a puppet. She just put there to just be a face. And I think they're digging in and trying to find out as they arrest these people, who knew?
Find it acceptable. And we're trying to do everything we can to unwind this clock and undo the damage that previous Congresses have done to not just the American people today, but future generations. And to demonize that work, I think, is unacceptable. Mr. Walk, thank you for your service as an Inspector General. Can you describe the scale of the threat based on the investigations your office has conducted on the sophisticated organized crime that's occurring that we're seeing with the SNAP program?
I think it's very large scale. We, in terms of skimming, that requires some kind of sophistication. It requires organization. And so we're seeing a lot of what Baltic transnational criminal organizations involved in skimming. That money oftentimes goes overseas. We also know that in many of our investigations, we've seen ties of individuals, subjects that have had ties to known or suspected terrorists.
Now think what you've heard and what Trump has signed over the last couple of weeks. You see, I'm looking at this as a whole picture. And what he just told you is a lot of the skimming, a lot of the stuff that's been happening, the money that's being stolen is going to terrorist organizations and other foreign entities. You know, they go through these hearings. I almost feel like they're soft disclosures. But then when you think about all the different executive orders President Trump has just put in place in the last couple of weeks, I hope you're going to whitehouse.gov and looking at these executive orders. And as you hear this stuff, think to yourself, wait a minute, is there an executive order about people stealing from the government? Enemies? So you're telling me we have enemies in our SNAP program. We have enemies in our healthcare program. Now go back and look at some of the executive orders and see how they come together to go after this stuff. And that'll tell you there's a whole lot of more stuff happening in the background.
So it very much is a sophisticated.
In which countries do you see that activity the most? From which countries are they organizing, scheming?
Well, we see a lot of skimming from Romania.
Romania. How do you feel when you?
There's a new one. Romania enters the chat. I know you guys are probably thinking Cuba or maybe China or Ukraine. Romania has entered into the fraudulent area. No wonder that whole area over there in Europe has become a problem.
Talk to the American people about this. How do you think they feel? To find out that their dollars aren't even going to their neighbor in need. They're going to some fraud, organized crime syndicate out of Romania.
Well, I actually had a conversation with a victim just this week. I was in a store in New York, and this father of five told me he was skimmed more than once. The card was replaced, and he was skimmed again. He showed me on his device how the money got into his account. At about midnight, they were sitting on that account. They had already cloned the number, apparently, because they were able to skim all the money deposited by 7 a.m.
That's unacceptable.
7 hours.
Thank you for your work in trying to fix it. I yield back.
All right, so now you have to remember or begin educating yourself on the stuff that Scott Bessent is doing and all the different executive order tie-ins that he's doing for money transfers across the world. And as you begin putting these dominoes in place, you start realizing what Trump is working on. And you also realize why the Democrats are completely freaking out. Because if they're already tying this money to certain places, then they also know where the money is going. So there's got to be a lot of people in Washington right now who don't know what to do because it's too late. Understand that as well. It's too late. They're already probably surveilling you. They're already probably looking at your bank account. They're already watching your email. They're doing all of it. It's too late to extricate yourself from what you've done. And the biggest thing I look at is how many of these people are as they're being caught are just singing like birds. It was him, it was her, it was him, it was her. That's what's got to be freaking people out, because if you realize how fast this thing happened with John Bolton, it went from I didn't do anything to I got arrested to I took a plea. The only people taking pleas are the ones who are getting off so they don't have to spend 30 years in jail. And the only way you get that reduction is if you talk.